Hi, Brian Hawkins here, Next Step Survival, and today I'm going to dehydrate some onions. I'm going to bring you along for the ride. That's the last of my green onions in my garden. It's November the 10th. I'm in Michigan, and the garden's gone. It's done for the season. It said goodnight a couple of days ago, but several things, some of my herbs, green onions, they didn't care. So they stayed good. And I'm like, I need to grab them and preserve them. I had way more than I could use through the summer, and I'll go over that in a second here, but stand by. All right, so before I take you over to the dehydrator, I kept one back just to show you my green onions. They're pretty long, right? I've cut some off that I've used out of the garden, so they're upside down right now. So picture them, they're this way in the garden, but they're not all crooked, they're not all broken like they are because they fell down from the cold. So every night they would do this, and then they go back up when the sun came back out in the day. So I think I've got them in time. They still smell great. They still have a nice crisp Christmas to it. Christmas, not Christmas, crispness to it. And yeah, I chopped them up. I washed them all, dried them off, chopped them up, and I just kept this one back. So I'm going to chop this one real quick and then take you to the dehydrator and show you how I do it. I don't figure you need to watch me wash and chop these up, So I did want to mention that I bought green onions once at the store back in the spring, and we used those green onions where I did, and so I bought a little, and then I took them and I cut them like to here, right? Remember, there's like a bulb right here, so I cut them right here, and then I planted just this little thing with the bulb down in the dirt, and it started growing and growing, and I split it, and then the next thing I know, I got green onions, like a patch of green onions, more than I could use for the whole summer. They were outgrowing. They were growing faster than I could use them, and now I have a bunch of them I'm going to dehydrate, and those are great for the winter time. And then I store them in mason jars. I'll go over all that with you tomorrow after these are dehydrated. So, yeah, let me get these washed and I'll bring you over to the dehydrator. All right, so first of all, I just realized that I didn't put in my external mic on the phone that I'm using to record this video, so I apologize if the audio was grainy, if that's a such thing, or weak, but I can't reproduce that because I've already cut up those onions. So this is two dehydrators. They're both Excalibur. I'm not even sure if they still make this one or not. This is very similar to the to what you'd find like Presto or whatever, and this is the the 9 tray, the Cadillac of food dehydrators, and I'm going to show you a couple of things about them. I know I have never seen anybody come out and tell you this, so let me be the first to tell you about this Excalibur. It's amazing and I love it, just like everybody else. You've probably never seen a bad review. Well, we'll show you one negative aspect of this 9 tray over this little 5 tray Excalibur or any other type. So this is just the brand, right? So this is the same type. This one here is a better system because of the airflow. But once you take that off of there, you'll notice that I have removed several of my trays. That's because they're so tight. They're so tight in there that unless it's something very flat, you can't really get all 9 trays in there. Or you could, but you're going to be pressing into each other. So I generally, with something like this, will remove every other tray. And that's worked very well for me. It helps with air circulation and everything else, but I wanted to bring that up. With these 5 trays and and I have another one. I don't know, I said Presto, but I don't think it's a Presto. I don't recall what it is. It's a very common brand. It's a $30 dehydrator or whatever. their trays are much cheaper, right? So right here what I've got is some parsley in here. So this isn't even part of the video. This is just an extra. So I have some parsley in here. By the way, I hang some herbs. Parsley, I do fresh. So right now in an indoor garden I have fresh. And then obviously in the summertime it's in my garden because that's what this is from. And but I prefer it fresh. But I do, some of the excess I will dehydrate and store in a mason jar, just like I will these green onions. But I have hung those up, and just like these, I'm going to bring you up here to show you. This is my rosemary that I just hung up. So I have this rosemary here hanging up. Smells wonderful in here, by the way. Between all of this stuff, the two dehydrators running and the rosemary hanging, it's the whole house. My wife walked in the from the garage and she says, "Wow, that's a wonderful smell. Is that pine?" I'm like, "No, it's rosemary you're smelling." So anyway, all right. So I thought I'd bring that up. So I have this in a dehydrator because when I've hung it up like this, I know a lot of people say the essential oils are better when it's hanging, but for some reason the parsley, basil, stuff like that, when I hang it, it just doesn't do that well. I've only got a couple of trays of that. Like I said, I'm doing it fresh. The rest of the trays are just carrots. So those are organic carrot chips that we overbought for a meal, and I'm just going to dehydrate them and put them away. I turn these off so it'll help with the audio. So what I have here is the green onion. So I have, I believe, just 3 trays of the green onion. You can see the size that I cut them at. As far as the size that you would generally cut these, whatever size you use these in your soup, stews, whatever it is you're doing, that's the size you want to cut. I like them pretty, like an inch. I like pretty big ones. So that's the size I cut them. And so I have 3 trays of these. And then just as an experiment, I have 4 trays of those. I'm sorry. 4 trays of those. You see the bottom of that? Almost not. Bring it down a little bit more. All right, so I have 4 trays of the green onions. And this last tray right here are just some chives. So that's just an experiment. I don't even know if that's going to work or not, but I thought I'd throw some chives in there just to give it a try. Just an experiment. And that's about it. Like I said, these are better fresh. We've been going out there, and every time I need some green onion, the same with celery, by the way. I did the exact same thing with the celery. Planted them once. A couple of the ends that we used, bought from the store, cut them, put them in the ground, and they grew out. So whenever I needed celery or green onion, and there was something else, I can't remember what it was, but we'd just go and cut what we needed. And in a lot of cases, it seemed like these was just growing right back. So some of them stayed cut, and it seemed like some of them was growing back. Either that or I didn't cut as much as I thought. But when I come back, see, I think we're going to go overnight. So it's still got several hours for the night left, and then I will go overnight. And maybe around 10 or maybe lunchtime, I'll check these out, see how they're looking, and what we're looking for is, a nice crispness and stuff, but not cooked. We don't want to cook them. And then I'll bring it back when they're ready to put away, to take out of there, and I'll show you how I store those. All right, here we are. Next day, everything came out beautiful. I've turned both dehydrators off. The green onion came out amazing, so it's nice and dehydrated, but not to the point to where it's overcooked. It's going to rehydrate good. I've tasted it. It tastes good. It's got kept its color and everything, so I'm real happy with that. And I'm going to put that in a jar and seal it up. This will stay in our kitchen. I'm not going to keep it for the pantry shelf. I forgot to mention I also have some in the freezer too, but I didn't video any of that, so it's a pretty simple process. And the parsley came out good as well. Parsley was a little bit faster than the green onion, so I turned it off earlier. And then the carrots. Carrots they took the longest, but they're ready to go as well. Those are not part of this video. I just mentioned it yesterday, so I thought I'd bring that up. The parsley will be chopped up in my little coffee grinder here and go in one of these cool little quarter pints or whatever this size of this mason jar. I wanted to put these in one of these. I like these Atlas mason jars that come from these Classico brand pasta sauces. And I've used them before in the past, and they just look cool, I think. So here's one that I put some asparagus in, using some Harvest Right, or Harvest Guard. Yeah, Harvest Guard reusable lids, but they look pretty cool on the shelf, in the cupboard in the kitchen. So anyway, the reason these drawers were open is to let these acclimate. Okay, so I haven't heard anybody else mention this on a video, but that's what I do. I don't know how critical it is, but once I'm finished dehydrating, I turn everything off, open it up. Some people might say, well, you're putting moisture back into it. I don't believe that. I think you need to let it get to room temperature before you put it in a dry room temperature jar, if that makes any sense. Put some hot product in a jar before you let it cool down a little bit. I'm not saying for a day or 2 days or anything, just an hour. Just let it cool down and open up the thing. So it's been finished for maybe 45 minutes or something. And let it cool down and then put it in a jar. That way I'm not creating an environment that's going to try to cause some condensation inside the jar, is what I'm saying. And what I'm going to use today, these jars, by the way, I washed them in our wash machine, dishwasher, under sanitize, Santa-Rinse or whatever it's called. And then I let these dry and acclimate as well. So they're completely dry. I did that last night. Just threw them in with the regular dishes. So everything's nice and clean. And we're going to try to do this in here. I generally use the kitchen for this type of thing, but trying to do a video. Everything's set up in here. Got you sitting on my tripod. I'm going to see how well this goes. So stick this over here somewhere. Like somewhere better than that. All right. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. I didn't drop any of it. Glad I went with half a gallon. So these didn't come out like super small, like some of this stuff does. I'm just going to, why did I do that? I'm just going to keep these on here, I think. And when it comes time to use these, we just keep these in the kitchen, like I said. I'm not going to put them on the pantry shelf or anything for a long-term thing. We'll use this throughout the winter. And hopefully, by the time we use these and those that are in our freezer, which will be used before these probably, hopefully by then we got somewhere in the garden next year, because there's nothing better than fresh off your garden, and it's a nice feeling to knead something, celery, onion, green onion, garlic, all that kind of stuff. You just need it. I need a little basil or want some sage. And you just run out there and grab it fresh. And it's literally 2 minutes old by the time you get it into your dish. And that's a nice feeling. Didn't cost you any money. You didn't have to go to the store. You didn't make a trip. So that's what this is all about. This is just taking a bounty or harvest from the garden and extending it through the winter time. I might not even, yeah, it's gonna work. And I'm not too worried about like cleanliness or anything. I mean, it did grow in the dirt. Sure, it bothers some people, but those people don't watch my videos. My food saver on with this little tube. I don't know about most of them. I think what I did, I think I had to cut this. I think I did. I think this had some type of different end. It's been years, but I think I cut this and put this on through that tube. So I don't know if they come with this now. I think this came with this. I'm not even positive. It's been so long. But bring a new lid there. And all I do, I'm going to bring this down here. I put the lid on, push that on, and I'm going to try to, it's just going to make a lot of noise, so I'm going to reduce the volume so it's not bothering you. But right here I have two things. I have accessory and marinade. I'm going to hit the accessory button, suck the air out of this jar. Okay, so now what I do is I generally pull this off before I pull the lid off. This probably doesn't matter, but I seem to have better luck, because every now and then this will come off with this. Some people recommend that you take that gasket out and reverse it, but I've not found it that necessary. But anyway, so now all the air's out of there and it's shelf stable. There's my chives. It's like dried grass, so I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but that was just an experiment. And that's it. I'm going to throw this on the kitchen shelf and have it for soups, stews, omelets, whatever you want. Just like if you put it in a soup or a stew,
soup. And we do this
rehydrate
all the
on its
time.
own.
So I've been
In an omelet or something like that, maybe you want to throw it in a little jar like this. Put a little, how much you want to. This is how I do it anyway. Whatever I'm going to use, throw them in here, put some hot water in it, put in the microwave, 3 minutes, let it set. Don't grab it and burn yourself. Let it set for, a few minutes on the counter, and it's good to go. All right, I hope that helped. If any questions, comments, like I said, I'm good at responding to those, and we'll get you out more videos soon. All right, Brian Hawkins, Next Step Survival. See ya.